Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us here. My name is Ayana. I am one of Dr. Braffett's honorary daughters, and I'll be hosting you this evening. I'm going to start by maybe giving you a little background as to why we are all here. I know that the invitation may have been confusing, so I'll explain. I think many of you in the room understand the love that people develop for Grenada when you visit Grenada. So like many, Dr. Braffett is a Grenadian by love. He love brought him to Grenada, and his love for Grenada and Grenadians kept him here. So he is a Grenadian from the heart. And outside of that, his next passion is politics. He loves to talk politics. He loves to chit chat to get you into those conversations. He has a passion for democracy. As a matter of fact, a couple years ago, he approached me to start a foundation, a sort of group that would help raise awareness in the Grenadian community so that people can understand the true meaning of the privilege that we have, having the right to vote, having the democratic process be a part of the way that we govern our country. And we find that a lot of times, and especially with the way that social media goes, there's a lack of information, there's a lack of clarity, and people don't really understand the democratic process and how it is that they hold the power to effectuate change to a point. You know, we can push the ball only so far, but can't always push it all the way down the hill. We hope that all of the conditions are right to get the right things in action and get the right things moving. And that's what Dr. Braffett is about. So that's why we are here. But even more so, I'll tell you why we are actually really here. And I'm not supposed to say this, but I'm going rogue. Dr. Braffett, or Bert as you know him, or as Uncle Tony as I know him, is celebrating his birthday today. So, so it's a themed birthday party. The theme is democracy, but we are here. We are all here for you. It wasn't because of democracy on the invitation. We are here because of you and all of the people here love and appreciate you. So happy birthday to you. And because he is the man of academics that he is, of course, we have a few short talks that will accompany our evening. And the first will be given by Dr. Francis Alexis Casey, who is an old-time friend of Dr. Braffett from since the days of Cave Hill. So that tells you it's been a long, long time. Just the other day, sorry. Just the other day, but long before I was born. So without further ado, Dr. Alexis.
Thank you very much indeed, Diana. Good evening to all of you, beautiful people here. And as you can see, it's already Christmas upon us. If I was told it was happy birthday, I would have walked with my harmonica, my mouth organ, and instead of talking. But I was warned to keep it short. This is the Constitution of the United States of America. Right? Good. Now, this is the Constitution of our beloved country, Grenada. You see which is bigger? Or is it bigger? It's smaller. They have in common the concept of democracy. It works in different ways. For example, under this Constitution, you cannot be the President of the United States for more than 2 terms. But under this one, you can serve as Prime Minister for as long as you can. Which means that under this one, once you get into office, the temptation, we being humans, would be to stay there as long as you can, throwing out friends along the way. All right, I see I get a point, so I don't have to belabor it. So my first recommendation would be for constitution reform that we write into our constitution a clause to the effect that, bright as you might be, religious as you might be too, no person should serve as prime minister for more than 2 consecutive terms. I have been saying so for decades now. It's nothing new. Since before I came back to Grenada, I've been saying so. And that continues to be my strong point. The more how I see things go, and the more how I see human beings operate. I was talking to the pastor just now about some of the things that motivate human beings, like money and power. Oh, you're not hearing me. Thank you. Is that much better? Good. You're not hearing me in the back there? Oh, thank you. My second proposal for constitution reform would be then, and again it is in recognition of the foibles which weaken our human nature, playing with the date of election as it suits those in power. We should write into the Constitution a clause that, generally speaking, elections will be held on a particular day. For example, for argument's sake, the 7th of February or the 6th or the 8th, as you wish, every 5 years. That would reduce the temptation to play politics with the country and the economy and the people. It has been discovered that you can set a date for election. They have it now in the United Kingdom, for example, and it is not mashing up the country. As a matter of fact, it is bringing out talent. You know who is the leader of the opposition now in the UK? And who was the last prime minister before the last election? So talent is coming out. Human rights and the Constitution. Diana was telling you about democracy. You know, some people will tell you that you need human rights to have democracy. I think it's the other way around. You need proper democracy to have enjoyable human rights. You have to have a democratic environment if you are going to have human rights being enjoyed fully. If you don't have a proper democratic environment, you're not going to have human rights enjoyed as much as it should be. What then is this democracy? Both in the preamble here, the preamble to the Grenada Constitution is very rich in democracy. The preamble to most constitutions in independent countries in the Caribbean is really an ideal statement of how life should be governmentally. For example, it would tell you that the people of the country recognize the supremacy of God. It would tell you that the people of the country hold fast to democracy. So what does democracy mean then in this context? Whether in Grenada or in any other independent Caribbean country, Jamaica doesn't have a preamble. The bedrock of democracy, according to the preamble, is that you must have one person exercising one vote regularly. Why is that so? It is so because if the powers that be, the political electorate, have to come back to you every 5 years or so for your vote, that is an incentive for them to respect your human rights. What other input is there in human rights? So if, for example, Abbott Braffett says he doesn't like what is going on and he's going to run a one-man protest somewhere, that's good democracy. Remember, I was standing at the top of Market Hill in all my legal regalia, even my gun, and protesting one man against the world. What was I protesting against? There was a man, Brian Allen, who was eminently suitable to be the Chief Justice of the OACS. But the government of Grenada, the Prime Minister of Grenada at the time, didn't like he had. And he was exercising a veto over him. And I said, well, that can't be right, you know. So I'm going to protest against that, even if I do it alone. So you need the Board Braffords and you need the Francis Alexis's to do that sometimes. Now we reach the stage as a man just nominated from St. Lucia to be the Chief Justice. And I'm told that one Prime Minister is holding it up again. So we have to be continuously on the alert, protesting against these abuses of power. It's frightening how power can get to the head. So we need little things like this to remind ourselves power tends to corrupt, and absolute power tends to corrupt. Absolutely. Thank you both. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Alexis. I would now like to invite Sir Larry Joseph. And Sir Joseph will be giving us some comments on the electoral process.
Good night, everyone. I've been asked by my good friend Bert to talk just for a few minutes, said no more than 10 minutes, on reviewing the electoral process with a view to strengthening democracy. Well, my former student, Francis Alexis, has outlined to you already what democracy is all about. There's no need for me to go to further definitions. With regards to what I'm going to say, first of all, I'll talk about what the Constitution says about the electoral process, and then I'll give comments on areas that we can look at to review for strengthening that process, to strengthen democracy. As you will all know, I'm just reminding you that we have a monarchical system of government which was handed down to us by the United Kingdom in 1974, the 7th of February 1974, when we got our independence. And that constitution, which outlines how we should be governed, gave us a parliament. And that parliament constitutes a House of Representatives and a Senate. And of course, a Governor General. And in Grenada, the Governor General is represented by the Governor General. Did I say something wrong? The House of Representatives comprises 15 members, according to the Constitution. Presently, it is 15, but there is a chance that it could be reallocated in terms of numbers and in terms of size of each constituency. And how this can be done? It can be done by Electoral Boundaries Commission, which body comprises the Speaker of the House of Representatives, 2 members appointed by the Governor General on advice from the leader, from the Prime Minister, and 2 from the advice of the Prime Minister, 5 members. But I've been in politics for quite a long time, and I've never seen any change in the constituency boundaries of this country. And this body, the Electoral Boundaries Commission, is supposed to give a report at least 2 years after elections and no more than 5 years. And this has perhaps a report or reports have been given, but no actions have been taken. But there is a possibility that the boundaries can change. And I'm going to speak in a few minutes with regards to an area that can be reviewed in order to strengthen the electoral process by changing up the number of constituencies. The Senate comprises 13 members. 6, I would say first that 7 appointed by the Governor General on advice of the Prime Minister. 3 on advice of the Leader of the Opposition, and 3 by the Prime Minister after he has consulted the various interest groups like agriculture, trade unions, and so on. Parliament is responsible for making laws and for running the state generally. So basically that's the background with regards to how our monarchical system operates. The areas that I consider to be areas for review are as follows. I think that the constituencies should be increased from 15 as we have now to 17, especially to make each constituency almost equal. It wouldn't be exactly equal, but almost equal. And I'm thinking in terms of St. George's South, that has over 10,000 electorate, and St. David's, that has approximately the same, about 9,000 electorates. You cannot just do one because you need an uneven number. You have 15 now. If you do one, you'll have 16. You don't want that just in case that one party wins 8 seats and another one wins 8 seats. So you need an uneven number. So if you are changing the boundaries, it's important that you change 2, and I recommend that St. David's and St. George's South could be the ones that could be looked at for change. So that will be 17. Another area that I consider to be an area for improving the electoral system is to make the electors in each constituency or the registration of electors more transparent. The supervisor of elections is the person responsible for doing that. And he or she has the sole responsibility of doing that, of making the change. I think in order to have fairness in the system, there should be a commission to supervise the election rather than to have one person as the supervisor of elections, supervising the conduct of elections and also establishing how electors should be registered. That's another way. And the supervisor of elections, why I'm saying this is because the supervisor of elections has absolute power. According to the Constitution, his actions cannot be challenged in any way. Once he establishes constitutional means of doing his duties, not even the Governor General can instruct him to follow certain rules. That's in the Constitution. He has supreme power to do whatever he wants with regards to the conduct of elections and the registration of voters. Another area that I think would be of interest is the fact that some electors, in order to give support to a particular party, move from one constituency to another. For example, I know sometimes this has happened in St. George's Northwest and St. George's Northeast to give support to one candidate or the other. I think specific rules should be established to ensure that this cannot be done just like that. Another area is around election time, you have plane loads of people coming from abroad to vote. That's an area that also needs control in order to establish a fair and democratic process. So I don't want to interrupt your happiness this evening, so I'll stop here and wish Bert a happy birthday. I wish that you have many more in times to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sir Joseph. And now I will pass the mic over to Dr. Booth Prophet. He wants to shy away from the fact that it's his birthday.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Elijah. First of all, thanks to everyone here for coming out. I appreciate it very much. Perhaps I may wish to go back a bit in history and to reflect that I think that I have been somewhat of a privileged person. Given my background, came up, solid household, 2 parents who loved us, who cared for us. Happen to also have some siblings, and through WhatsApp today, we can keep in very close contact. And we have kept that a family bond along with our nephews, nieces, etc. And then the family that I developed in Grenada have been, I would say, extremely gracious to me as well. And have, in one instance, produced the products that we see here tonight. So I stand here as a senior and therefore able to appreciate how how one can be privileged in such settings. And I'm grateful so to be having had that run. And then I have my grandchildren. And my grandchildren, the joys of my life. You see Elijah here, Isabel is somewhere around, and Kylie might be listening in, and Malik might be listening in. And I dare say that their parents are bringing them up just in the way that we would have advocated, and their foreparents would have advocated. So, as I say, as you go on in life, you tend to want, at least me, want less and want to see greater joy and happiness. And my joy and happiness tonight came through this route of having this discussion. I'll get on to say just a few words on democracy as I perceive it. But before I do that, I want to say thanks to some other folk in my life. There's a lady called Paula. Is Paula here? Paula is here. Paula has been with me for a long time. And she is the one who allows me to be able to stand up in what I call the Bula Beach grounds. This is the Bula Beach Stadium. And this is for my friends like Brian and Elliot, to be the second highest scorer in a one-day match, beating all the young ones. And it's true. No, they can attest to that. The last time we were here, that I was the second highest scorer. And the only reason they got me out is because I forgot for a moment that I was in Bula Beach ground and it was at Kensington Oval. And so I hit the ball full over there. Fully over there. So, and a lot of that has come through the good food and nourishment provided in my household by Paula. I wish also to thank my staff, many of whom are here, two of whom weren't able to make it. That's Dr. Ventura and Nurse Emily Roberts. They weren't able to make it. They're the ones who helped to guide me around the difficult corners and the setup so that it makes it easy. But the other staff, and I don't see Olive. Oh. Yeah, okay. We have Olive, who, for better or worse, she's had to tolerate my idiosyncrasies. And even if I say so, the idiosyncrasies which hopefully keep a practice you all have. Okay, let's keep let's keep the practice, as safe as could be. Because if I could just say a word on medicine, medicine is not a difficult subject, It just requires a basic knowledge, updated, care about people, and the ability to follow certain stated routines and not vary from it because it is so convenient. And that is what we try to do within our office setting. And in terms of procedures, I have Carol here, and I also have Nurse Leslie here with me, and they have been with me from the time I started doing my GI work, which is over 20 years now. So thank you very much. I also have Nurse Erla, who wasn't able to make it here today. So I'm really grateful to you folks. Then there's another group that I'm especially grateful to and I feel privileged to have associated with. That group is the group that works from Alpha Junior School. Now, we have had our challenges over the years, but if I dare say so, I think we have surmounted them and we continue to write, hopefully, at a pretty good high level. Where is our principal? She's here. Why are you in the back? Could you come to the front and take a bow, please? We have Miss John here. That's our principal. Miss Lacroix. She's a senior teacher in our department. And Miss Boyne, who is a family member and almost like a founder of the school. Yeah, and we have Mrs. Gittins here. And am I missing anyone? And our new admin person, yes, Ms. Tonya Wells, and also Charlene Joseph. And Ms. Charlene Joseph, our deputy admin person. That's the team that makes Alpha Junior School tick. Let me say that the school is basically a non-profit school, and it's coming up to a major anniversary. So we'll be expecting the pockets to be long as we come around. Because like any other enterprise, you have to do significant refurbishment. We know what the costs are like, and we'll be looking around to all the mega donors. I know this is days in which people donate, not just 1,000s, but tens of thousands. Not the kind especially, but right. So Alpha has brought great joy to my heart. and the way that they have against the odds. One of the things that we did that probably went unrecognized during COVID, we were recognized as the first school that was able to get, and we were complimented by the ministry, first school that was able to get our program up and going online. And we recognized that that had to happen. And we were able, as a matter of fact, we went to the Trade Center at one stage with the graduating class. We were there for 2 semesters or so. So we have been able to be flexible, and we have a past vice principal here with us. She's here. Yes, Mrs. Cassandra Smith. And even when they have to leave us for whatever reason, most people still feel a sense of attachment to the school, and we consider that as a compliment. Just a few words on democracy. It was back in 2016 that I sat in my living room chair, and the results of the election came through in the United States. And when those results came through, I froze. I literally froze. I did not get up from that relaxing chair until 4 o'clock in the morning, because I smelled a rat, right? Fast forward a few years, and things unfolded in a much worse direction than I could ever have imagined. Come now to November the 5th, and we are where we are, right? People have voted, the people have said their piece, and we have to accept it. Why I think this is important is that we should not just take the democratic process in isolation. It's what is happening in, as a matter of fact, democracies in the world are on the decrease. That's a fact. Democracies in the world are in decrease. And when some major powers shift away and perhaps go more authoritarian, perhaps go more fascist, we know that those other democracies will be under threat. So I feel that we have a responsibility. Listen, our foreparents, we didn't just get here like this. We all know what our foreparents went through to get us here. We all know what the struggles were to get the right to vote established. I was glad that Dr. Alexis and Sir Larry were able to come and point out some weaknesses in the system as we have them today. We have to look at the weaknesses in our system and strengthen them, because there are going to be challenges. There are going to be challenges. There's no doubt that not only is democracy under threat in many parts, but the whole global picture is very, very uncertain. And I think we are all aware of that, be it from climate change or be it from invasions of what have you. So we have a responsibility, and certainly people of my age group, I don't have anything to lose. I just want to know that in a few years when I pop off, that this place is as good or better than what I found it. And that is hence my commitment to the democratic process and my commitment to seeing improvements therefrom. One of the areas that I was mentioned was this question of the money in elections. And that is something that I would ask that all the powers that be on both sides of the political fence, this is also about party politics here tonight. This is about strengthening the democratic process. And when you can get the kind of vulgar use of money that I've seen happen in the election, it does not speak the best. And especially against a background where IT and the use of digital technology now allows people's minds to be pushed off in a certain direction. As a matter of fact, let me say this. I've said it to the staff at Alpha. Critical thinking and critical analysis are important in us as mankind's continue for movement forward. People pull stuff down from off the internet, swallow it, hook, line, and sinker. When R.J. Kennedy Jr. says measles causes autism, people believe it. And what happens? When the immunization rate drops in countries, as is happening, measles epidemic breaks out. And when measles epidemic breaks out, you're talking about measles is nothing to play with. And all those childhood illnesses that we can find ourselves having less people vaccinated again. I saw them in my junior days in Mona. I saw the complications, the mental retardation, the lung pneumonia, and on, and that's just from the measles and death. So countries that have had outbreaks of measles, they say, but the term, according to R.J. Kennedy, is causing autism. Well, that's kind of science I don't buy into. I reject it. And I think anyone who analyzes scientific papers, and this is what we have to get our youngsters to do, and I'm going to be behind my staff along with the board members here to get our children doing more, probably widen the course dealing with analysis. Because if they find themselves outside in this atmosphere and can't think for themselves, they can find themselves going way off tangent. So that's enough for me on the politics. Just to say, again, thanks, and I do appreciate Aisha coming down. But of course, she loves a plane, you know. I don't know. I just said I am having this party, and before you said Jack Robin, behind the scene, I heard Lana had to tell me that she was coming because we had to switch the day from Saturday to Sunday, and that is how I found out. She was on a plane here, but I do appreciate her. I do appreciate the efforts my Lana has made also helping me to get this. Now, in keeping with my new theme, I have a young grandson who came and sat beside me and says he wants to say something. So he's going to be given the privilege of saying something. Come, Elijah.
Hello, my name is Elijah Tambarima. I am grandson of Lord Bradford. Since it's my grandpa's birthday, we should be singing the happy birthday song, shouldn't we?
So, is that what you wanted to say? Huh?
Birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Are we remembering this song? Are you now? How old are you?
Okay, so let's count. 60, 70. No, 50. You're going the wrong way. Wrong way. Thank you, Elijah. Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, I can refuse on that. I can refuse on that. So, back to, no, the MC.
I want to call on Alana to represent the daughters.
Good night. You see, they caught me off guard because they told me Aisha had to give some remarks. So that wasn't true. Good night to all. Gratitude is a must when we have been poured into, entertained, engaged, and enlightened. A special thanks to Sir Lawrence Joseph, Dr. Francis Alexis Casey, for your succinct and outstanding legal analysis and presentation on the democratic process. Indeed, it was extremely enlightening. I've learned a lot. I have some studying to do in that regard, so thank you for that. Miss Ayana Boeing, Mistress of Ceremonies, excellent presentation as always. We appreciate you, and you are indeed our sister. We love you very much. Creative Chef Catering, you've already started to enjoy some of the food, and so you have quite a bit more to enjoy. So we thank Creative Chef for their catering this afternoon. T&R Coms for your video recording and live streaming. We thank you for that. Mikey Hutchinson, DJ Service, and we have Javid with us. Give it up for Javid. Javid, I'm thinking that the people want you to turn up the music afterwards, so turn it up, right? Thank you to Alpha staff, friends and family, and faculty. Thank you to all family and friends, including Auntie Paula, right, who has been a mother to many of us and to our children as well, and to Jillon, who is here. Jillon, are you here? Jillon, raise your hand, let's see you. All right. So Jillon is Daddy's son. There are a couple young men on H.A. Blaze Street who are like Daddy's sons. And so Jillon is one of them, and it's true. That's right. Okay, so Jillon, we appreciate you. You're a brother, and we love and appreciate you very much. We also want to thank you, Daddy Tony. Oh, who else do I need to thank? We want to thank the persons at the bar as well. I'm not too sure of your names, but we appreciate your presence and we thank you for being here. Thank you to you, Daddy Tony, and to anyone else who has participated in this occasion, who has helped us to make it possible. We thank you. A special thanks to you, Daddy Tony, as we used to call you, for being a passionate, loving, and ethical father. You have been here throughout our entire journey. Aisha and I are indeed eternally grateful for your support. Thanks for standing by us when nobody else would stand with us, for loving us through all seasons, and for teaching us how to give unselfishly to others through community outreach and excellent service to others. You've taught us the importance of the democratic process. Indeed, from a very young age, the Barbadian flag would be raised on the Day of Independence, and we would have to sing the Barbadian anthem, and we would have to do the same for Grenada when it was Grenada's turn, and that was generally the order of the day. By the way, you had to get up early enough to make sure that that could happen. And so democracy indeed has always been the cut and thrust and core of all that you've done. And you've taught us about the importance of exercising our franchise, our right to vote, although at times some of us have decided not to so exercise that particular right? Your endless dedication and love as a father and as a friend is without question, and we appreciate you. No words of warning that you've given us, education, or guidance have fallen on deaf ears. And so we appreciate you very much. I get emotional about my dad. And so there's one more quote that I want to share, which I thought summed up very succinctly your appreciation of democracy. And it's a quote by Kofi Annan, where he says, "To live is to choose, but to choose well, you must know who you are and what you stand for, where you want to go, and why you want to get there. And why you want to get there." Clearly, your passion is for a democracy to continue, for the democratic process to be improved. There is always room for improvement, for our lives to be such that we would have a freedom to choose who we would want to lead us. I think fundamentally that is what democracy gives us the right and ability to do. And to choose without any restraint and without any negative repercussions as well. And so indeed, this quote by Kofi Annan sums it up. You have chosen to live as you desire. You have chosen to have the passions that you do. And while I asked you very large question like, Daddy, what this thing, quote unquote, what this thing really is about, right? Up to yesterday, Daddy, this democratic thing, talk to me, right? He says, how long have I been teaching you about the importance of democracy? And tonight, hearing Sir Lawrence and hearing Dr. Alexis, I am convinced that your passion, indeed, as much as I didn't recognize it, I also hold that passion. When I teach about constitution, constitutional law, a lot of it comes out, and it comes from the core of what you've taught us as your children. And so we appreciate you, we love you, and we adore you as our Father. God bless you.
Thank you, Alana. I encourage you all to continue the discussions and to continue celebrating with us. We have an open bar and we have a buffet on the inside. We invite you inside for some eats. And we also invite you to dance. Besides politics, he loves dancing. So please, sorry, democracy. So I invite you all to stay on for a bit, chat, socialize, enjoy as much as of the evening as you can with us. And thank you all for joining us this evening. So DJ, I will hand back over to you.